All right, folks.
That's why I think it's funny if we do it.
All right.
Third time's a charm. So we're still working with some camera angle stuff, but thank you guys for tuning in. Doesn't matter, nobody's watching yet, but this is live from the CNC Mayhem Factory. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So we are going to get this thing started off.
What?
Does this. Oh, and the camera is now level and happy. All right. Is anybody on the tube watching to see if I'm keeping this right?
Oh, yeah, close that. Oh, yeah, close it. No, just check our.
There should be a new live.
How are we feeling about this one?
Hold on.
Yeah, she's a pro at this now.
Well,
Go,
that,
hold on. Just wait.
that's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
good.
slightly
All right.
correct, but
Excellent.
No.
well, no, we're gonna go with it.
No, it's
Yeah.
good.
We'll do it live!
Just do it. Just do it. It's good.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
All righty.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are. Nobody's watching. That's cool.
Well, we just started.
We totally did. We just started. I'm down.
Wait for it. No, I have to go back.
All right. Now,
Can I shout at the camera for a few minutes?
Yeah.
you shout all
Please
you
do.
want, homeboy.
All right. If you are just logging on, we are live on Facebook. It is
No, we're live on the YouTube.
live on YouTube. Sorry, live on
Okay.
YouTube. I'm going to. It is 11:15 on St. Patrick's Day. If you're watching this at a time that is not 11:15, we are not live. So please do not write us questions. But if it is approximately 11:15 and it says live, you can go on our comment page and actually post us questions.
You can go to
Talk at the
YouTube and
camera.
interact with us live. We've got it up on our computer, and they can chat with us.
And I apologize to the camera in the beginning because I am going to have to be facing down and facing my crew, so you're going to kind of see me backwards. But
Facing your crew.
yeah,
I feel like I'm Jeff Crew. I'm
Squad.
down with being Jeff
Squad.
I like it.
Squad goals.
Squad.
squad goals.
Squad goals.
You know what my squad goals are? 2 cars running tomorrow.
Woo.
Oh hell no, the car.
No,
the Civic.
Civic's
we're
not gonna be there?
tomorrow.
But I like the way you think, homeboy.
Oh,
And the computer is not here.
The computer's at the.
all right.
Or go no
No,
way.
we're not telling.
No.
Computer's fine.
It's not
It
here.
doesn't need to be
You
down
too.
tuned at all.
And some clown cut a hole in your head.
I know.
There's nothing wrong with a new computer. It's just they know we're doing a new motor.
Yep.
Yeah.
You said it's not the motor that belongs.
I gotta have the immobilizer taken off the computer.
That's right.
so-
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Because
All right, ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
oh, we're
Now,
going.
hang on. I
This
haven't
is
been
happening.
recording on Audacity yet.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead. It's
all
time to
right.
start
Oh,
the show.
okay.
Is it ready?
That's right. It's time to start the podcast that is going to post
Okay.
this podcast.
So,
Because that doesn't include
yeah.
we're live on
All right.
Facebook.
So,
Well, we're all here, and there's nothing sarcastic to say. We've all got drinks, so we can't kind of get up and do anything that we normally do to start the show.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
There it is.
Happy
There we
St.
go.
Patrick's Day.
We're all
There we
Irish
go.
on St. Patrick's Day.
Aye.
We are live on Facebook, but not in podcast world.
play the song.
Play the song. I'm sorry.
Play the song, Jeff. How do we start a show? You play the song. This is number 78. Really? No, I'm just gonna read the intro. You.
Oh,
No. We can now because it's
Right,
okay.
it's
Go
on
ahead.
the- so hey, welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of lemma champ or lucky track dog you run, SEC or NASA, we don't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of low dollar endurance racing. Whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just a tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less, especially tonight. Everyone report to the paddock. Hey, this is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back and listening to another Tom and Jerry episode of our podcast. Hey, they turned 78 this year. It's our episode 78.
Mhm.
We do as many stupid things as they do, so that fits. So if you're not driving, don't forget your bingo card.
Oh, I gotta open
I
mine.
actually-
I actually did forget my bingo
Not
card.
bingo carding
We all
tonight.
gotta get the bingo cards. And so now normally we'd start our show with what you're working on.
But
That is our show tonight, is what you're working on. So we're gonna skip right over what you're working on and go right to news and notes.
ah,
Jeff,
It's terrible. One second, I'm opening my bingo card.
Well,
Wait.
yeah.
I'll be there in a second.
Wait, why are we, what? Jeff?
No.
Jeff has
Well,
the-
no, he's got to lead into the news and notes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it, Jeff. Supercars, folks. You
Yeah.
want what? The lottery tickets. They're getting expensive. And if you have a supercar and you open it up on a regular road,
I do.
yeah, you go
And
to.
I do.
Yeah, but if
We're
you
going to
see a
jail.
cop, you jump on the brakes because
We're
you know
fine.
you'll go to jail. So, as always, folks, check out Extreme Experience because they will put you in the driver's seat in some of the world's best supercars at over 20 racetracks in America and Canada with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, and no governors. Awesome cars, Hellcat wide body. Porsche GT3, Nissan GTR, you know the cars, Lambos, Ferraris. Awesome instructors like Jeff, Chris, and me next weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the internal road course. And I know, it's getting kind of expensive.
I was gonna do the voice.
Go for it. It's all you, homie.
Wait. You're telling me I can drive a supercar?
You
But
are,
is it that expensive?
you are much louder than he is.
Oh, man.
Oh, no!
Sorry.
Phrases that have never been said before.
Well, he turned Mental's microphone on.
Sorry. I will
This
use
is
better technique.
This is for
Normally-
the benefit of our listeners. is
normally-
turn Mental
But,
down.
but wait, Mental, is it that expensive?
Normally, Camel No Filtered Smoking Guy, it is expensive. However, we here at Everyone Races have got your back because if you go to xxp.com and you enter the discount code Everyone Racers, all one word, that's going to get you 25% off when you book. So Extreme Experience, folks, it's your turn.
It's your turn. Okay, so we are
News and notes.
News.
news and notes. Got it. Right?
We're good.
So, I don't even know how, we're still celebrating Women's History Month. Awesome sauce. Michele Mouton. Michelle. Born June 23rd, 1951. French former rally driver. Somebody else filled this in and said that we have another notable woman driver, which is awesome sauce. Competing in the World Rallying Championship for the Audi factory team, she took 4 victories and finished runner-up in the Drivers' World Championship in 1982, shortly before I was born. She's still the last woman to compete in the top-level rallying. She also won the top leader prototype class in 24-hour Le Mans in 1975. Fantastic.
And she was the factory driver for Audi when Audi was the gods of rally.
And love to hear about women, fantastic drivers. I still say it's sad to have this topic that we say, oh look, here is a woman who's notable, and she did great things. But I'm happy to know them.
Yes. Now, there are some races going on. The 100 Acre Woods going on. Our friend Santiago sent us the entries for that. We know that the Lemons folks ran. We know that WRL did Barber. And we don't have any of those results because all of those folks right now are towing their race cars home. And we will get those to you next Friday.
Yep. Next show, we're going to have that for you, which is fantastic. And, you know...
We have, oh, go on, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to transition to what dinner was going on today.
Please do. Please. That's
Yes.
So, this is St. Patrick's Day, and we were working hard at our craft with our vehicles.
Sure.
But we had to stop early because we had
Yeah.
dinner guests.
Sure.
And we actually got heat from one of our dinner guests because we always say hi to Chrissy's mom. And we never say hi to Chrissy's sister, who is almost as devoted as a listener. So, Jen and that blockhead dog. Bear.
Don't. Bear gave me a shout out on the Instagram this week.
Bear has an Instagram?
Because we were hanging.
Okay. Yeah, so hello to all of Chrissy's family who is
Thank you.
here for
Right, yeah, they all came up.
And we now have 2 folks watching us on the YouTubes. Bruce and Jim McGuire.
Fantastic.
Okay, nothing else to do.
You know, and
Watch
speaking
us.
of dogs, you've got to be at least a little bit curious about what happens
Heck
to Lucky
yeah.
Dog.
Heck
Hey,
yeah.
we've reported our experience, but you need to experience it for yourself. We're going to be at the Ridge, which is one of my favorite tracks in the whole country. Out of like the 20-something that I've driven. It's great. They're almost sold out. There's 70 card max. Get in there soon. Early dog discounts end March 27th. Dogs Camping Jamboree is August 9th to 11th. It's basically a race but without the car. So all that fun time you have hanging out with all the people in the paddock, that's
Drink,
like half of the good time of a race.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's that.
No cars.
Without worrying about fixing your janky ass hoopty. So go do that. That's
Like
what
that-
What would I
where-
do at a race if I didn't have a janky?
Yeah, exactly. That
You
rare
hang out with
weekend when your
people.
car comes off the track and you're like you're
talk
doing
to a lot
well,
more people.
and you just real quick you torque the lug nuts,
Yeah.
you check the oil, and you're like, all right guys, let's go walk around and have
That's
some
like
fun.
that's like when
That
you drive
never
Hamza's car.
happens.
Yes.
Unless the wheel falls
So-
off. I guess then.
Side
Well, no, but then we still like, well, wheel fell off. Grab a drink. Let's go walk around and talk to
Right?
people.
Side question.
Yeah.
Why are we busting our balls to get this damn Z done?
Because the racing's fun. So
That's true. It's true.
So
And
We
the
need the
Z's
Z
gonna,
button.
the Z's gonna dominate.
and don't forget, Lucky Dog Racing is now in Canada, and Calaboogie's only 7.5 hours from here. It's closer than CMP.
Actually.
It's actually slightly closer in New Hampshire.
When did
And what month is that?
August.
When did, May and
We already have a
May
race
and
in
But
August.
it's a
right?
different.
June and
it's
August.
2
June and
weeks later.
August.
Ah.
So we need to consider that. But that's fun. Good for them.
If you guys can't hear that, that's the sound of wheels starting to turn.
Oh, we know.
Oh,
These
yeah.
wheels started to turn live.
Right? Because
So-
I told you how close it
All
was.
this information is available for you
Duh.
at racelucky.com. They've got all this stuff. It's a great series. We enjoyed being partners with them. You'll enjoy racing with them. Just do it. So
Absolutely.
Hey, real quick before we go to the next segment. So we actually have now picked up Jim McGuire's listening to us. Bruce is half asleep, but he's listening to us. Enthusiastic Rock is following us right now live on the YouTube. Solman 254.
that's Craigers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which is Craigers. So yeah. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on the YouTube. I'm giving
Is
those
your
guys
that?
shout
No,
outs.
that was a high.
I just feel sad for all those people that they have no lives and that they are watching us right now. So.
I don't know.
It's Sunday at 11:30.
Or they're
right now,
drunk.
So
It's St. Patrick's Day.
Could be both.
They're probably drunk.
yeah, but
Okay.
there's not a whole lot to
Oh,
do other than go to bed.
and Tony just showed up because of course he did.
So is he on bath salts? 'Cause
Perfect
he's-
timing.
He's actually
Okay.
he's not sure if he's in Florida or California right now.
He knows where he is. You don't know where he
Yes,
is.
sir.
Krager says we have no idea how drunk he is.
Nice.
Thanks, Craigers.
Craigers, I have the meat sweats. How about you?
Because we had all the salted meat for the night.
We
So-
totally
So
did.
what's the
much.
next segment?
Listener
feedback!
Who's starting it? Me
You.
or you, Mental?
You,
Because we're
you,
talking
you.
about the same topic.
We are, and you go for it, and then I'll get caught up.
So Donnie P, who just joined us on the live, hello,
Hey, Donnie.
was complaining because Mental said that it was a different Donnie that won the Concours de Le Mans at Amelia
No,
Island.
I had the right Donnie. I had the wrong location.
So many dollars.
I don't know.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
too many
Is that the bingo
Donnies.
card that Mental was wrong?
Mental was
Okay,
wrong.
fine.
Mental was wrong.
No, it's on the
But anyway,
bingo card.
so-
One
so
mental
the-
is right.
I just want to clear up the facts. It was Donnie P, Florida man, purple. What is that thing? The
It was a
slab.
Saturday.
Purple slab driver from the rally. We talked about him. We talked
Sure.
about his purple slab.
And his
But he
sweet
had a
Saturn.
Saturn Ion red line.
Competition
That was
package.
a competition package. That was a former GRN competitor.
Really?
That's why he has.
Oh, and
those
he
stickers.
still rocks around. He still rocks the numbers on
Cool.
that.
So the Facebook feed was basically Mental is wrong, Jeff is right, and then it totally devolved into it was Matt F and Donnie basically complaining because my truck is not nearly as manly as theirs, and the Nissan Titan is just not as good as a 3/4 ton Suburban.
Well, you did buy it from some ladies who prefer the company of other ladies.
That's right. Chrissy has something to say in the corner over there.
This car, this truck is so hot.
Why are you whispering?
You got to talk
Yeah, no,
This
loud.
car, this truck is so hot.
It's
That's
well,
fine.
especially
So I-
compared to his janky ass.
No, it doesn't matter.
So,
You know, it's one of those things that I walked to my neighbor's house. I had to, well, I won't talk about what we were doing at our house this week. I borrowed a pressure washer, brought it back, came back, and I walked by and I was like,
That truck is
so
awesome.
hot.
much better than our-
It's so hot.
much better than our beige
I mean,
Suburban.
I love our beige Suburban. Like, it is fantastic. But I walk by this truck. It's like my car, right? Like you drive by, you walk by a car, and you're saying, "Gosh,
So,
that car looks so good. That truck looks so good."
finish your Donnie story.
That is the end of my
Okay,
part
well,
of the Donnie story.
So my part of the Donnie story. So Donnie actually immediately after we posted that episode, he put a screen capture on the Instagram of him listening to our show. And today, hashtagged it today on the Everyone Races podcast. Mental Ward is somehow convinced that Amelia Island is in California, and yes, Jeff, it has numbers on it, and they are functional. I apologize because we were thinking HooptyCon, what Jeff said, and Donnie then goes, actually, I'm more concerned about being known as Florida Man Donnie than anything else. You don't think I'm going to eat your face?
Bath salts!
And Donnie, it's not so
Bath
much
salts!
that. I don't think you're going to
throw
eat.
an alligator to drive through.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to eat our face, but there's some face eating, probably happening in Florida.
So I believe Craigers is listening to us, right?
Yeah.
I think you
Craigers
have
is
some
listening
listener
I
feedback.
do have some
And,
listener
and
feedback
meat
from
and
Craigers.
scotch, which
Yep.
surprises no one who's ever met Craigers.
And kilts.
And kills.
So,
Action
Cracker
skirts.
sent me an email. Said, "Hey, funny story. I'm listening to the podcast while working on the Del Sol, which is fantastic because I'm running with Craigers at the CMP 24. So I want the Del Sol fixed. Thanks, Craigers." So anyway, said the headlights won't fit right on the damaged side because Kurt keeps hitting BMWs. So he's hammering the piss out of the front supports to get everything lined up. And we're talking about camera adjustments, and he said, I probably just change that. All the stuff he's doing. So we pull out the level. Turns out he had accidentally added 2 degrees of camber without knowing how.
by pounding the frame.
Yes. Yep.
Hell yeah.
So he had a very important tip for our listeners. Check your alignment last.
Yes.
After you've done all of the other things. Because you never know what's going to change
Hell
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a quick thing.
And I'll add one extra little bit here. If you can check your alignment with the weight of a driver in the car,
Ooh.
do that too.
Ooh.
Yes.
Because it
Even if-
changes your height just
Yeah, it
slightly.
We're talking about that.
And you could go down to the if you're still doing everything solo, you could pop down to any thrift store or just buy weights, and
Yep.
and you don't have to lie about your weight. Be honest about your weight. Drop all those plates in
Well,
that.
what's
seat.
fun is that on our team there is a scope of weights.
There it is.
Wait, everyone. This is where Jeff gets called a fat ass.
No, no.
Just tell him, it's coming.
I was
It's coming.
saying, it goes from Jim to Chrissy.
I'm pretty sure I weigh more than you, Jeff. I'm just stemmer.
It goes from Jim to Chrissy, so we've got to do that. So you don't actually have to use weights like we usually do. We usually go grab to the gym downstairs and grab the weight plates and go put those in.
Right.
But the
We've
other thing
done
we
that.
can
We've
do
done
is we just find heavy things in the garage and put them on the scales ahead of time and then start sticking them in the driver's seat. Like we put spindles.
I said, well, you've got
And
transmissions.
Right, and put batteries.
Yeah, a low-cost frame.
Right. We put all kinds of whatever we can find, and then until the weight gets right, and we're good. So that's another thing to do.
That actually
Please
works.
remember that. So
If you-
what else?
honestly, if you've got one of my favorite dogs I don't own, and maybe he's a little plump, Bear's never gonna stay in a seat. Never mind. I don't know where I was going.
No.
With it. Bear's like,
That's all it's not.
You can't get him in a car. Come on. You'd be like,
For those who weren't here, it's Jen's dog Bear, which is
My-
about
my Jen, my sister's
a
dogs.
180-pound chocolate lab that is the biggest goober you've ever met.
he was towing the Suburban around
He
yesterday.
was.
We brought him down here to hang out with us.
So one last piece of listener feedback. Chris Egan actually was messaging me because he heard and followed us as we cleaned the 300Z lifters last time at Bruce and Greg's house, and he said, I need to know how to do that because my lifters are clicking like mad in my Saab. And I said, well, just look up how to do your lifters because I don't know how to do your lifters. So I gave him the link to how we did our lifters, and he said, this is great because no one in the Saab community will ever admit that their car is broken. So they don't do fix-it videos because that would admit that your car is not perfect.
none of them?
Like that's what he said. He said there are no how
Sounds
to
like,
fix.
we're
It's perfect. I'm Swedish. It's perfect. The Saab is perfect. Don't
I
worry.
eat meatballs and
Yeah.
it's all good.
The trolls built it correctly.
Exactly. The trolls from Troll Eye.
Built
Built
it
it
correctly.
correctly.
Okay.
Get it right.
Now that is actually.
So,
Fantastic.
so why doesn't someone introduce what's going on this weekend?
So since Chris is over there rehydrating, it is.
Yeah, this is apropos for the show.
Yeah.
Someone has to
Normally, see what we do, folks watch us on YouTube, is one of us will go, and then we take our headphones off,
Or
and then we
just
go and
leave.
grab a beer.
No,
and
or
then we
just
come
leave.
back.
Right,
But yeah,
literally.
so
You're like, if there's a
Yeah.
timeout time when nobody is talking, and you're like, oh wait,
Boom.
oh yeah.
So our anyway, main topic time. Which is why we didn't have a what you're working on, because we're all here. It's a work weekend, duh. So what are we working on? We're working on race cars. Jeff talked about so.
No, we're working on that liver too.
Yeah, so just
Our
the
liver is getting
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Our liver is getting a hell of a workout. So the CNC and Mayhem factory has a garage full of race cars right now, and I'll say we've made some kind of badass progress. The Z is now it's fully caged, right?
Yeah. It's
And
done.
then so Bruce came up, and Bruce and Jeff were doing some mad fabbing. I'm a big fan of the Pareto principle, where you 20% effort will get you 80% of the results. And the work weekend you guys got that main hoop, which was a pain in the butt. You guys get the main hoop set, and then what was killing us out is we had to put the 80% of effort to the last 20%. The door bars, all the fish mouthing, all the little grommets and everything that's got to go to finish a cage. And as of today, at about
I asked him to introduce it. He's telling all my story.
Oh, so I have to say, Bruce is on
live feedback.
Right, live feedback. Bruce is like, yes, that we should bang the fridge to get the ice. We have a problem with the fridge and ice.
The Sub-Zero fridge freezer is a wonderful thing.
Fantastic.
But the chute, it's a long, ridiculous chute that gets the ice. It doesn't make any sense. But it's like some things Mercedes doesn't make any sense either. But they did it anyway.
Well, I noticed that in the Sub-Zero, or at least your Sub-Zero, the ice dispenser is actually in the refrigerator door.
Yes, that's why it's a long, circuitous route for the ice to go, and that route tends to get frosty.
BRB.
All right.
All right, fixing the camera.
For those not watching, the camera just fell down.
Sorry, ouch. People like, right? Okay. We're coming back.
Okay.
It's all
Well, it
good.
doesn't matter. The podcast is still
The
rolling.
podcast
So.
continues.
So,
anyway, the chute of ice gets frosty, and the ice doesn't flow well, so you have to.
that was like a Heil. I'm sorry. Heil. It is
2 points.
I'm
2
hi-
points.
I'm hiling. Some of our friends are asking if we're working tomorrow because it's almost midnight. We are not working tomorrow.
No.
All of us. So 3 of us have taken off work. We are saying no.
We've adopted the mental lifestyle.
We're saying Monday we're not working, and Jeff is going to call in
I
now.
Jeff, you're not feeling well, right?
I have a disability.
Disability.
No,
So
and
does
it's
Jeff.
it's I suffer.
Anal inversion? Is
Oh,
that
no.
No, it's close. It's anal glaucoma, which is I just don't see my ass going to work.
Right.
So,
Well, you don't have the problem. So we already knew that you were staying
You're
here
unemployed.
longer. You're like, I'm going home on Tuesday. Okay, fine.
The only way mental knows that today is Sunday is the big paper came.
And we had no papers.
that's where the
today.
good coupons are, because I don't have a job, so I have to like cut
True.
all those.
So we were all saying, like, we all knew that we were going to take off today. So, or we all,
Yeah.
3 of us
Yeah.
did, and then we were just like, Jeff, I think I gave you the flu that I had from last week.
No, it wasn't that as much as I was like, we are not getting that crap done in 2 days.
Oh, hell yeah.
I knew we needed another day.
Yeah.
Which not to say that we didn't get a buttload of work.
Just check it off on your bingo card now. I'm going to complain about work. I worked my cookies off all week last week.
Don't care.
Wasn't it spring break?
Like it was spring break, and I averaged like 10
Sure.
hours a day, and all of my coworkers were taking days off. And so I said, I'm taking a day off, and it just happened to be Monday.
How's your hair?
It's great.
Because the Jeff talks about working too much is lined up with someone has crappy internet.
I know.
And we're all the
Nobody's
same
gonna have crappy
internet.
internet.
Yeah.
we're
Tonight's
good.
great, actually.
Okay, so that's why we're all here tonight.
Cool.
Somebody asked.
So it's a
that's
work
what we're
weekend progress. Who wants to start us off on what we've been doing this weekend? Because we have worked our butts off.
I can start.
Great.
So I will shout out to Bruce, the half brains and half brawn of the operation.
He's on there.
Hey, Bruce.
Bruce, you are out there. That little dude can really yank the handle on that bender. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
And
Yank it.
you can yank it.
Oh, no.
So yeah, so we
More
were completing
No,
the
it's
door
2 hands.
bars. We did NASCAR style door bars on the passenger side. We did modified NASCAR would you say?
Yeah.
I mean,
Rally.
it's
Let's call it rally style.
no, it's not rally style. It is a NASCAR door bar with a kick.
Yeah.
So that way they are not parallel.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm gonna play Jeff here for a second. We do have.
Duck right into your mic.
What are NASCAR bars? We're
So-
talking about door bars.
Thank you.
So NASCAR style door bars are typically, they look like a ladder, and they bend from the main hoop to the front bar, like the one that goes through the dashboard, the one that goes down, and they bend into the door,
Outward from the driver.
outward away from the driver. They travel into the door, travel down the door, and they re-enter the car to hit the not out this door skin, like where the window lives.
They come
and
back
all those
inside the
things.
rocker.
They come inside the rocker and they attach to the down bar,
Yep.
so they give you more room inside. Now that is not what we did in the Honda, and not our favorite kind of bar. But the Z is tiny, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way to say it's a 92 300 92.
Yeah.
92 300ZX, and it is tiny. The cockpit is tiny.
Yeah.
It's a 2+0, so there's no back seat, and it is just, it's small. There's just no way around it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Actually, and I'm a big fan, especially in these tight cars, of NASCAR bars because it gives you something to sit on when you're trying to climb in the car really quickly.
Fortunately, the Z has big doors for the size of its cabin.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you've got the car where the doors are small and you can't do a proper NASCAR bar. You have to get an S bend or a reverse bend or something like that.
Mhm.
Which is why we use what we like for the Civic, which is a
Like
modified
an X,
X.
yeah.
We just do one bend in the top bar that's a fairly decent sized bend, and then the same bend in the bottom bar, and those two meet in the middle, and we weld the two together, and then put a taco gusset in addition to some other supports in there. So that that gives you that.
And
extra
I think
room.
that's a rally style that because you kind of want that.
No, but it's
low-
not really an X.
No.
The top bar
No.
bends down, and the bottom bar bends up to where they kiss in the center.
Yeah.
Right, and then you do the taco gussets, and as you
Yeah,
mentioned,
it doesn't look like a normal X bar because it doesn't. The thing I like about it is that you're not cutting any tubing.
Right.
You have a whole tubing and a whole tubing, and they both just touch together, and not do anything else.
Chrissy, no one on YouTube can hear that.
I love tacos!
All right, she loves tacos.
I love tacos.
Yeah.
And she's not that drunk.
No,
She's
I
just
just
having a good time.
No, I
she's
just
not going to work tomorrow.
no,
She's
I
not
also
that
really
very
just like tacos.
Yeah.
We should mention for those on the podcast that Chrissy is wearing the goofiest shamrock green. What the hell is that thing? I'm not really sure.
What's a headpiece?
It's a
Oh, it's a
headpiece. It's a
headpiece.
headpiece. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, hairband.
Yep.
And you sell the tutu?
No,
all right, we
two
lost the tutu.
behind.
It was losing too much glitter on every surface she sat
No,
on.
it's like I hate glitter. I love the tutu, but
Okay.
I hate glitter.
So I'll just finish up with what I was working
we
on.
need to do, Jeff, because you worked on a lot.
Hey.
I did.
Dave Carpenter's on.
Dave
there.
Carpenter! Look at Dave.
That's
I also, the clutch hose. We need to talk about the clutch hose. So we changed.
Should I get some back?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
we are changing.
As part of the motor shop in the
no.
Civic, we are changing from a cable-operated clutch to a hydraulically operated clutch. There is no room on the firewall to mount a clutch master cylinder.
No.
Just not even close.
No.
Because it wasn't. Honda didn't think about it. It's not going to happen.
What kind of a person's gonna do that?
Right. So yes, there are ways that you can buy a variety of kits for several $100s that might make something work. But this is lemons.
Not lemony.
So what I did is I bought a $12 master cylinder from a '95 Civic, and I pulled the pedal cluster out, and I found some scrap in the bin because Jeff had all my steel, and I found a way to mount that under the dash. Now, by doing so, there is no room for this because there's not supposed to be any room
No,
for it. It
no,
doesn't
no.
work at all. It is about 1.5 inches from the bulkhead of the
It was
dash.
about an inch until we porta powered it up.
Yep. So there's no room at all, but we have to run a hydraulic line out of this. Well, first, actually two. One for the supply of the fluid.
Which is rubber.
Yep. And then one a hard line out
Yeah.
to up forward in the car to get to the slave cylinder.
So my brother Jim was here Friday, so he knew what the job was, and he had kind of already started making the bend.
Yep. And Jim is very good at detailed, thought-provoking projects. If you
Yes.
give Jim a detailed project, say, Jim, here's a weird thing. I need you to figure this out from several levels and come up with a solution and implement it. That's right up Jim's alley.
Yeah.
And not only that, while I was like fiddling with the cooling system, we'll talk about in a second, Jim would come over and go, "What are you thinking?" And I would verbalize my thought process, and he always had a, "Have you considered this?" Or if you do that, this is going to rub and it's going to tear through that. So
You're also really good at like standing there for a really long time and
Thinking,
And
yes,
telling stories.
yes. So back to the clutch line.
Yes.
So the Clutch Master has a 45-degree pointed, like the barb comes out 45 degrees,
Well,
the hard line, and it faces directly at the unibody.
Yeah.
Like there is like
Oh
an
yeah.
inch.
No, this does not fit.
This does not fit.
And this
so,
is interesting because Krugers is telling us right now that we should have talked to him because he has a hydro conversion from the CRX that he kept after it was trashed.
Sorry, Gregor.
Sorry, Gregor. So
Done.
basically, we porta powered the body of the car away from this. We this was like, put your hand like into the
Well, you-
butthole of the cow.
Basically, you were removing a kidney through the ass.
And folks, if you're listening to this podcast and you're having trouble visualizing this, go to our YouTube channel because
oh no.
Jeff just did this yoga thing with his arm. That
So you need 3 extra joints.
he looks like he rode in the front of the Snowpiercer train. Everything has its purpose.
Oh, there's also like you're like pushing the hard tube.
He's pushing a rope.
Over and
Oh,
again, and
there's
then
a
you're
lot of
like,
rope pushing.
and then, but you didn't tell anybody that you're pushing
So-
it, so you're just like,
Oh wait, keep going.
So anyway, so my brother and I fought that for like
A day.
2 hours.
Oh yeah.
oh,
And then today I fought it for like 20 minutes. I said, Chris, I'm disassembling everything you did.
Which is fine.
Which I
It's
did
not
it,
that
and I
hard.
took care of it. That's really what we should have done in the
Yeah.
beginning. So
We should drop the column and then drop the pedals. and-
this is the tip for everyone out there. If you're having a very hard time fiddling with something, attack it a different way.
The disassembling, because I was on cooling system duty, and that was my job, and I kept staring at it, and I think I've completely taken out that cooling system, put it back in 7 times today.
Yeah.
And you do get this mentality of, oh, it's going to take too long, I'm just going to do this, when it's the labor-intensive answer is the quickest answer. Just
Oh,
take
yeah.
it all apart
Just take it all apart. Do it.
before you break something.
Mhm.
And I'm actually kind of happy with the way it all played out once I got it all bolted in.
Yeah, and all in the end it works great actually.
Yeah.
So, and just to fill everyone in, because I know Bruce is asking and everyone on the team is asking, is the motor on the Z running?
no,
No.
no.
So
it's clean. It's so
we took
We
it out.
haven't tried yet though. It's not
No,
a
it's not
failure. We
bad.
haven't tried.
The PCV reroute is very confusing, and I had to stop because I need to stop and do more research because the instructions on the Z32 wiki don't make sense.
Sure. Well, a little background here. The Nissan Z32 is a double cam V6 shoved in a space it has no business being in. And Nissan could have designed an extra 3 inches in the front of the car, and they didn't. So everything is packed together. It is very difficult to work on, and and there's a failure. There's actually a problem with the piece. Most of it has to do with the intake manifold. That if you have never taken it off before from Nissan, it takes over an hour to remove the intake manifold with all the things on it. So we're removing a lot of those things. And also the PCV system is not designed for sustained hygiene cornering, which we're
gonna
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If we're
So-
doing it right, it's
Right.
going to do nothing but sustain.
So all
hygiene
it'll do is
cooling.
just it'll suck oil into the intake manifold and burn it. And the
Yeah.
problem is we're going to run out of it. So we have to move the PCV from the lower side of the valve covers to the upper side of the valve covers. So the actual oil won't be sucked through, but the vents still will.
Yeah.
So
Which there's the guys down in I've run against them in Barber a couple times. They run and they apparently have that figured out because it's the cockroach themed 300Z, and I never saw this thing smoking, but that's very interesting. So they've done that reroute and
probably
There is also on the Z32 wiki a PCV removal,
yes.
and it is one step further from the PCV reroute.
But I feel like it's nice to have that because you have to vent the crankcase somehow.
Yeah.
And you can't just block it up.
Well, they just do a breather, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We don't want that.
No,
We would rather have the reroute.
absolutely. So we're working on that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of my story. I had a
That's
PPE story for later, but
You
that's...
did a ton of bending.
I did a ton of bend. That's what we said.
Fish melting.
I said we did the door bars.
Do
So
you
Bruce
want
and I.
to talk anything about like the
Just-
challenges you had in bending, or like
Cars. Can I swear?
Yeah.
No, we never
It's
cuss on the
YouTube.
show.
Are we allowed to swear on YouTube?
Who gives a shit?
Cars fucking tiny! That's the answer.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Bruce and I did a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Bruce made it happen, and we talked it out, and, you know, there was a lot of, no, it's 3 inches from that line. 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 And it worked out.
Shut up, you midget.
Exactly.
Something like that.
I said, short man, go away. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, this
Leave
morning,
me alone, I know what I'm doing.
This morning I came out and I started to weld, and for a few minutes I was singing the praises of Jeff and Bruce. I was telling them how wonderful a job they did about doing the.
Stick around, Bruce. It's gonna take a turn.
Oh yeah. How wonderful job they did at doing all the bends. Like these are
good.
fantastic. Like the bars fit perfectly.
They did do a good job
Like,
in that aspect.
I love the design of it.
The other shoe is gonna drop.
Everything's real tight. Like it looked great. Like this is gonna be easy weld. And then I laid down with like in the lotus position to weld some of the to weld those in, and I see the gap at the bottom on the other side. And I go, Jeff, I take it all back.
Not only that, but you said, dude, you put the tube right where I wanted it, but you didn't leave me any room to weld.
Yeah. So it was it was a challenging weld, but I did
yeah.
manage to get 360 welds and everything, of course.
'Cause that's what's
and
required.
judges and things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
No, actually, I did. I
Yeah,
did
we
manage to
did.
get. It was just with great difficulty, and I had to bend things out of the way. It was a pain in the ass. But the end result is fantastic. So no, seriously, kudos to Jeff and Bruce for designing, bending, fitting, fish mouthing, everything. A quality set of door
I was
bars.
gonna say that was a theme because the down bars, Bruce was doing part of it from sitting inside the hatch, and I had to do part of it like from outside the hatch, reaching around the hatch and into the window.
So you had to reach around with Bruce.
I had to reach around, and I was welding, and I had basically what was that like the window there? Is that like the hat? It's like the 3/4 window.
Right, the quarter.
Yes,
the quarter.
yeah,
The
Little-
quarter.
right
little
past the B
quarter
pillar.
glass. Yeah, the
Right.
B pillar. And it's got like a dark tint on it.
Yeah.
So I was welding without my mask on because I couldn't see through the goddamn window.
Because of dark tint.
Because of dark tint. So I'm like,
That's close enough.
close enough,
Yeah.
whatever, it worked.
Now we did get some more listener feedback that we talked about on the Facebook. The picture of you actually working on the clutch on the Civic, and a couple of the good jokes were on there. Was while you were on your back, feet up in the race chair.
That's called the lotus position, because if you've ever had a lotus, you've had to fix wiring under that. It goes for any British car, actually. Any British
Yes.
car owner has done that.
I had an MG midget, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Every British
I was
car
gonna
owner
say
has
my
done that.
Miata too. So
Oh yeah, exactly.
same
So my buddy Dustin pointed out that would be the perfect time to walk over there and just drop a fart on him when he's trapped in, he can't get out quickly. And Dan Sykes mentioned that we call that ratio yoga. In DC, Doug typed, and I quote,
Hey, Doug.
worst period position period ever period.
Yeah.
If I were in the Kama Sutra, and that ancient text would have never made it to modern times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, someone else talk about what you did because everybody did a lot of work.
All right. I'll go next. I did a lot of adult supervision, which is it's typically my role on these kind of things. As Bill Fisher has said, he said to me once, like, we see you as kind of like the adult in the room for most of the stuff that goes on in the weekend. And okay, sometimes. So I actually focus a lot of my efforts, especially early on oil pan baffles.
This,
Oh, yes.
This is great.
And we're going to have a great video. We're going
We
to
are.
edit it. It's going to be fantastic.
So oil pan baffle, it's important to control the oil that's going in your pan so it's getting to the pickup and you don't starve it. And the motor we're putting in now, it has a timing chain, giving a lot away, but it has a timing chain. And what happens in long,
Honda nerds have figured it out.
long left-hand corners, the oil can climb up the timing chain case and away from the oil pickup. So we're trying to find a way to keep that oil where it needs to be, and we have it's crappy, just stamped steel oil pan in the engine we have. It's not a good one. This is not a performance motor we're putting in. It's really just, it's a commuter car motor. So anyway, I made a baffle, and the way we made the baffle, which is, this is the first time I've done it this way, and I'm kind of pleased with myself about how I did it. So it's a difficult thing because there's balance shafts in the way, and the oil pan, it's hard. Like, there's not a lot of room. You don't know exactly where it is. It's tight fit. So I went to Walmart before work one day, and I found the Play-Doh. And I looked for the darkest color Play-Doh they had because I knew I was going to stick it in an oil pan. It's going to get dirty. So
and it all ends up purple.
for
anyway.
$1.50,
All Play-Doh ends up
I got a whole bunch of Play-Doh, and I made a little like wall of Play-Doh where I wanted the baffle to be in the oil pan. And I stuck the oil pan up on the motor, and it squished out to be exactly where I needed it to be. So then I took the Play-Doh out. I put the Play-Doh on some cardboard. Chrissy is adjusting the temperature.
You're cold?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took the Play-Doh, put it on the cardboard,
Sorry.
traced it onto the cardboard, cut that out, test fit that on the motor, it looked all right, and then I did a little trimming, then I put it on the seal and cut that out and did some more trimming. But that's how I figured out exactly how I can keep it nice and tight to the end.
And there are also like one-way flaps in this. You want to explain that real
Sure.
quick?
Well, you want oil to flow back to the pickup, but you don't want it to flow away. So you put a little trap door in it. And the easiest way to have a trap door is a crappy door hinge. So part of it was I
Not
asked...
even like a cabinet hinge.
Yeah, exactly. It's called the utility hinge. So part of it is I asked Chrissy's dad, who has an amazing amount of junk in the basement. And I said, hey, do you have any just old hinges around, like small, like really tiny little hinges in your drawers and buckets of stuff? He's like, yeah, of course I do. So he sent those up, and I got those, and I went to Walmart for.
And being Chrissy's dad, he knew exactly where they were. Third bin, fourth one down, third container in the
I don't know
back.
about that. He has an incredible set of drawers and workbenches and things downstairs, mostly because I helped him build the drawers. So he had the idea, but we helped him implement it. Chrissy helped a lot too. Actually, one weekend, Chrissy and I finished building drawers.
Yeah, you don't even take that.
Anyway.
Chrissy touched her dad's drawers. That's all I wanted to say.
That's terrible.
It really is.
So-
yeah.
He's a nice man.
Well, but he's also, I mean, he's,
Look, Pedro is great. I don't got one.
yeah, Pedro is a great guy. But he's like old school man's man, like, electrician,
Sure.
knows, I mean,
He's an electrical engineer with a master's degree that works in nuclear power plants.
This is mental math. This is mental math
No.
right here, right now, everybody.
my point is we all know people that intelligent, but, they can't find their car keys, but he can
Dig out.
So, mental stuff.
That's right.
Anyway,
Let's go back to the story.
he gave me
he did
hinges.
the
That's all we
light
need to
in your
know.
basement.
He gave me
Just
hinges.
get to the hinges.
And he knows how to do all the wiring. Like anytime that, actually, we've done this multiple times. He needs something done in his car. I need something wired in my house. We
Chrissy makes dinner.
no, we divide we divide and conquer.
I'm
and it all
sorry.
gets done
Actually,
5 times faster than we would have been doing the other thing. So it works out wonderfully. So anyway,
actually,
Chrissy's coming over to defend
I am.
herself.
No, because
She was
I am
pouring a
doing.
beverage.
I was, and no, I am
Keep
doing
going.
all of the. I'm fishing
Oh,
through our.
Chrissy
I am
has helped her
doing
dad a
just
tremendous
as much with
working hard on
him
this. Yeah,
every project.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Got it.
It's mental math.
I know. So anyway,
So yeah, go back
we
to
may
the
keep
oil
moving.
man.
So anyway, he gave me hinges, and I bought some more at Walmart. But these are just crappy utility hinges. So I welded these to the baffle. So I had the baffle in place, and then cut a notch out, just slightly smaller than the hinge. Welded the hinge to the baffle in the right direction, obviously, for which way the flow is going to go. And there you go. It's that simple. But here's an important safety tip, kids. When you buy most things like hinges, if they're steel, they're going to have a zinc coating on them.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Now,
You
this is a
must-
top tip.
This seriously, take it from me. Metal fume fever is terrible.
I'm
You do
down.
not want
Don't
metal
joke
fume
with this.
fever. And that comes from if you weld something with a zinc coating and you breathe the fumes, you will feel like you had the worst fever of your life, like you got hit by a truck. It's terrible. I've had it. You do not want it. Anyway, so grind the zinc coating off. Always grind the zinc
That's
coating
crackers.
off. You'll feel better. So anyway, did that. If you're really not sure too, here's a couple tips.
Didn't you do that? Didn't you think it?
This time I did.
You ground it off, but it wasn't.
This time I did. It was okay, but it wasn't quite enough. But here's how you know you might be welding something zinc. When you're welding, if you see a flash that looks green, more compared to what you're used to, you're welding zinc. If as soon as you stop welding, you see a white powdery residue around the weld, that's
how
zinc.
I always noticed.
Yep.
The white powder.
So that's the tips. And if you see that, stop what you're doing immediately. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Grind the zinc off, and especially then, do not breathe the
Yep.
fumes.
And this matters because this weekend I was using some scrap metal that you had kicking around, and I got that exact speech. I followed those instructions explicitly, uncharacteristic for me. And,
Really?
and I'm good. I hit it with the flap wheel, and I took it off not even just the parts where I was welding. I took it off the entire chunk of metal. So
Yeah, and it's really, I don't wish that on someone I don't like. So
It was
it's terrible.
awful.
Yeah, it was bad, especially I had to drive to Hartford in the BMW, which is not exactly a comfortable long highway cruiser car with a 19-inch wheel on the head. So anyway, so oil pan baffles are done. I put the one baffle on the one side with the flapper door, then I put another one on the other side. There was a horizontal one to keep the oil from going up.
You did
the
like the scraper thing too, right?
Well, that was the horizontal one on the other side, because the car actually has some okay baffling, like built into part of the balance shafts and things. It's on it. It's a decent design to start with, but we're just making it a little bit better. So that was the most of the weekend. So look out for our video coming there. But my biggest fun thing from that was Play-Doh.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so while we've been talking, we're following the comments on the YouTube. One of our more sharper listeners who sends us Twinkies figured out what's going in the Honda and just typed that in there and then said, "Oh, have I mentioned I'm the judge for pit race?"
He's wrong on the engine that's going in there.
Oh, he's wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong.
He's guessing.
Yeah, you're wrong.
So anyway, I also did a little welding this weekend.
Yes.
As
That's what you did all day today.
As I do when we do these cage weekends, I just weld flat. Unfortunately, it's not like the time we caged the Rolls Royce, it was 95 degrees. And when you're welding, you really do need to wear long sleeve shirts.
Yeah.
And that was miserable. So today actually was like a lovely day to be welding. Like even lying upside down, like in the lotus position in the Z, no problem. Did a lot of welding, it was fine.
Over the years, you used to have to do all the welding. Now you just do
Correct.
most of the cage welding.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And then sometimes it's a matter of just going over everyone else's welds and fixing them, which is okay.
Sorry, not sorry, Bruce.
Now, Bruce, did you need to repair some of Bruce's?
I think she was.
Not the ones at this weekend.
I think yeah.
Not the ones from this weekend.
Fine. Anyway, we want to make sure our welds are right. So that a lot of it was helping on small details for everyone else. Like it was a bit of like helping Chrissy with the intake and helping mental with the mental masturbation of the radiator fan that she was going through.
Wow.
It's all that kind of thing that was going on. And so now the Civic essentially, what it needs to be ready is wiring. We're deep
That's
in
a lot.
wiring.
That's
now,
big.
and it's big.
That's
That's
one
That's
word,
big.
but that's a lot of work.
It's huge. A gauge and light panel because we are no longer able to use a stock gauge cluster. So we're going to have to make a new gauge cluster with the things we need. I've got little LED lights for all the warning lights and things that I just have to wire it all up from scratch. I need to put a header in it. The header is going to be here on Tuesday. Need to wire, basically have to redo half the exhaust to get that to fit. And theming, because theming is critically important, and that's going to happen tomorrow. So that's me. I am out. Mic drop. Thank you.
So well, and that leads to your section, Chrissy.
Sure.
So what did you work on this
I
weekend?
worked a lot on the intake. So we have Chris is really good at making a list of things we need to work on for the race weekend, which is awesome sauce. So we sent a.
Oh, it's too low.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Just stop.
Okay, great. It's just like me. Mine's better. So yeah, so we so Chris, before everybody got here this weekend on Friday, he put a great list together and on all the things that need to happen on both cars. And so we basically, once you finish a job, you need to look at the list, figure out what's next, and work on it, which is awesome. So,
And I felt like that helped when like you need to be in the engine bay. And Jeff was already in the engine bay. So okay, what can I do right
what
now?
else can I do?
Yeah.
Well, that's
exactly.
why it was good to have two cars because sometimes you just couldn't get to the one.
Quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always a time where we can clean or move things around and turn. I love to clean.
Well, and on that note, both on the car, what were you working on primarily today? on the race cars.
Well, today was intake. I think was the most thing that I was.
No, I think the intake we did yesterday because I painted it last night after you guys got done with it.
I was trying to fish it to get it off the list.
Yeah, but no, I think weren't you?
Door marks.
Yeah, because you were doing the fish mounting
You
and all
don't
that.
have to just say today. You should say what you did on weekends.
You're right. So intake yesterday was a lot of work.
It
So
was.
so we were trying
It's
to.
custom.
Yeah, it's very custom. Trying to make a cold-ish air intake, and it's still going to need some more work when we do it. It needs some more. What do you call it?
Fitting?
No, it needs
No.
a splash shield.
Splash
because
shield.
Splash shield.
Oh,
Splash shield.
yeah.
It's
Because
pulling,
it's
it's
really
pulling from the
basically
wheel well
in
right
the
now.
wheel well, right?
Yeah.
So, but we had to do.
Can you not do a foam sock over that for the splash shield?
It's not gonna be enough.
No.
It's gonna, we need.
Okay.
Plastic bucket.
No.
No.
Zip
Yeah.
screws.
No.
Done.
No.
Zips.
All right.
The easiest way is just throw a piece of metal in front of it because it's right. It's in the wheel well right now
Yeah.
because we took our wheel well liners out. I don't
Years
think,
ago.
No, I don't think the car even had them when we bought it because
No,
it already been
probably.
crashed. So it didn't even have them.
Okay.
So,
So
anyway,
we
wheel well
bought
liners.
some parts of an intake, some piping, and we
It's
had to
just-
cut
just
the
exhaust
piping
tubing.
and to like really fab it to fit the.
That was
car.
exhaust tubing?
Yeah.
That looked like thin wall aluminum.
It was the thinnest. It was 18 gauge exhaust tubing.
Oh,
We-
okay.
For the diesel bros.
No, I just bought a mandrel bend 180 of 3-inch exhaust tubing.
Yeah.
And
But seriously, that thing's huge.
well, it's,
Okay,
it's
but-
3-inch, which is only slightly. The throttle body's 2 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to really. It was a cut.
That's the sound of Chrissy trying to get the floor
This
again by
happens
banging
Chrissy
her.
all the fucking
So-
time.
On your
Alright,
bingo
Dixie's
card,
on my card. Bingo card. Go
someone
ahead.
skips over Chrissy.
Please
that
do.
counts.
I'm trying to tell you what. Somebody asked what I did today. It's the intake. So it came in a pipe. I had to make it 4 different ways. How it was, all the cuts, make sure that it fit, and then we had all the. We had a bunch of different hoses that needed to come off of it, and different piping that needed to go off of it. So it was a lot of work. So it was a great. I'm sorry. Did you need to?
I was going to say the things that have to go into the intake are a breather hose for the valve cover
Mhm.
and a intake air temperature sensor.
Yes, I
There
did
you go.
that. It was
Yeah.
great.
Chrissy was working hard with the stepper bit. I love that thing. Right? The stepper bit. Did you hear it?
The big pyramid
The
drill.
pyramid drill.
Oh, I.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Sorry.
Now, but Chrissy did all the design and getting it cut right and getting it in place. So,
Yeah, it was a lot of
Yeah.
work, but it was one of those fabbing and.
Yeah, but you were like working on your own car today.
I did, right. So the other thing I did was that we needed the pressure washer out because the Z engine bay was disgusting, gritty, gross,
Yeah, we mentioned that.
grody,
Yeah.
ew. So
Yeah.
so we borrowed our neighbor's pressure washer. So we borrowed it, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do the walkway. And yes, I had a fan. I love pressure washing. I love it. I love it.
I was one snarky comment from getting her to do it the
the
sidewalk.
problem with the pressure washing is that once you start, it's so hard.
I
to
know.
stop.
I want to pressure wash everything, right?
Yeah.
So mental says to me, he's like, the sidewalks looking a little, and I was like, don't.
No, I can pressure wash everything. Like, oh, let's pressure wash the floor of the trailer again. Let's pressure
Don't,
wash let's pressure wash every car we
don't.
have in every single direction. It's all
Don't.
great because pressure washing is amazing. If you have a good gas pressure washer, the electric ones are useless. Don't
No,
even
we
bother.
had to get a gas
I have
one.
an electric one.
Yeah.
So we had
Yeah, that's
gas
useless, isn't it?
from the neighbor.
Nah,
We bought it.
that
We
sucks.
borrowed it for the
422.
Z, and we did that. And then I decided that I was going to do the walkway and our stoop, like our big concrete.
Your stoop.
stoop.
The Z went from like a
Exxon Valdez spill is what it looked like. It was-
yeah, well, a super fun
One.
site.
It looked like the penguins
Yeah.
that you have to get the dawn out.
The little baby ducks.
They're like, I'm so oily. Oh.
Yeah, went from a super fun site to
Right.
like not tragic to work
It
on.
was
Yeah.
Now, have we
wonderful.
talked about why that engine was so greasy?
Yes, we did last show. We
Well-
talked about the power steering
Power
pump that
steering
was
pump
leaking
that
all over the
helped
place.
a lot.
And
And
yeah.
Yeah, so it was great.
So
So
it's actually pretty dope now.
yeah, it's amazing now, really. But really, when the pressure washer's out, you're gonna do like let's just do it. So we did that. I also did the spark plugs on my car, so I've really had some bad gas mileage, and it's been 65,000 miles since we did the. We put my engine into the car, so
Had
that
900 miles.
right 900.
Yeah. But when we put the engine in your car, it had 900 miles on it. So
That's a Ford
Fusion.
It's a Ford
Fusion
Fusion
2.5,
2.5, which is a Mazda design,
Yeah.
Mazda build, but
Big black, you know.
BP, right?
so no, it's an L series. But anyway, the plugs we pulled out said Ford on them.
Yeah, so they were dirty.
Motorcraft.
Nothing too bad,
No,
but
actually
really,
Ford.
since my gas mileage is really notably bad, we decided we're trying them. So hopefully it's gonna be better. And I did that today.
I thought it was kind of funny that we were all like kind of hidden in the garage working, and anyone who drove by would have just seen your working.
Yeah.
Like, you look like you were the only one working.
Well, and I did all day because everybody was in the garage all day. I walked out to cut piping I cut piping for the door bars, which is what I did the other part of the thing that I did today.
The spreaders, the little.
Yeah, the middle of the door bars, and I walked out, cut the pipe, came back in,
Yep.
fabbed it, all that stuff, but nobody saw anybody but me.
Exactly.
And
We
all
were
day.
We were all hiding in the garage.
Except
You
for
were doing all the
Mental,
work.
who should go next because
Yeah, go
Mental
Mental.
Well,
sat out
so all the neighbors,
day.
all the neighbors drove by and go, man, that girl's working on 2 race cars, a Suburban, she's got her trailers out.
Yep, and then there's Mental.
Here.
What did you do today? Go ahead.
So I was given 2 jobs this weekend, and I really kind of fouled them both up, but they're giving me a hard time.
No. You did fine.
Well, so they asked me
Well,
to.
we'll give you a hard time whether or not you follow something.
And that's,
true.
and that's fair. So my job is right for as I got here, Chris goes, oh, by the way, you'll be the one refitting the hood, and I need you to get the cooling system. We talked about this. When I'm home,
I
in my
guarantee you
garage-
volunteered. Well, let me do the hood.
No, he was voluntold.
Oh, okay.
Ah!
Because I knew like this is a slight stretch product for Mental,
Yeah,
but also
yeah.
I knew that he would do it as well as any one of us, which is to say not very. So,
You knew you wanted it not to look good.
well, I knew no matter what, it wasn't going to look good.
That's true. It's true.
But it was a good thing that he could sink his teeth into and do, and like he has the skill sets to do it. He just needs to do it.
Haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So, but the thing was the cooling system, and it's nothing exotic, but you had bought the 2 hoses, and the point that I kept making is I can't glue it back together once I cut these hoses to make this work. So I'm working through it in my head, and I've got blue painter's tape all over the hoses, and I'm writing stuff down, and I'm doing bad math on the shoebox that was on the workbench, and there's some equations on your 2x4 because I want to make sure. And I would just stand there, cross my arms, and I would work through it.
Oh, sorry about that.
They called it mental. It's now mental masturbation. But Jim, Chrissy, everybody walked by. What are you doing? What are you looking for? What do you need? What do you know? And I'm just, what I'm trying to do here, and this is just not working for the pace of this work weekend.
No.
And what would really start worrying you guys is when I would start talking to myself. What are you talking about? I'm not talking to you. Now, so if I do this and I cut this hose, I've got
But you do talk to yourself.
A
Like,
lot.
Quite a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Because
And
it's
at first-
always me in my garage.
At first I was concerned, and then I was like, eh.
Yeah. He's not talking about killing or sacrificing him to Zool the space gods.
No,
Okay,
this
yeah,
is
we're
just
good.
how
We're good.
Mental works.
And so, but yeah, and we talked. So I had to pull that radiator in and out
I
like
see.
19 times, and we got it all figured out. And then we had to do the, and it is the world's ugliest bodywork welding on that hood, and it looks like someone just shot all the seams with a rapid fire BB gun from the state fair. We shoot out the center stars on that one, and I sat there with that hood in my lap, and that was my temperature sensor. I knew I was overheating the metal when I burned my knees, so I would move on to a different section. But again, anyone that drove by would see Chrissy power washing the front lawn, changing the spark plugs on her Mazda 3, grabbing stuff, fish mouthing, door bars, and they just saw me sitting Indian with a camouflage hood in my lap.
Looking sad. Yeah, it's a shame. The new motor doesn't clear the hood, so.
No, there's a little bit more beating that needs to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it. But we're close enough for horseshoes, nuclear weapons, and sex. So I'm glad you put that perspective of expanding my comfort zone.
I have no idea what we're talking about. I was queuing something on my phone, and all I hear is horseshoes, nuclear weapons, and sex. I clearly
Exactly. Close enough. Things
took
that
off
are
my
things that are
headphones
just
for
things
entirely
you
too
can get
long.
to things you can get close enough to and still be effective. How was it for you, honey? It was close. Good enough. Gotta go work on the race car.
It's terrible.
But yeah, yes, neither of the cars are running, but there was just a lot of stuff that got wiped off the punch list this weekend. Everyone showed up, and on top of that, just had a great time. I've just been having a great weekend.
Why do you do that?
He's fixing his microphone cable. It's all
okay.
twisted up.
It's all tangled.
It's fine. There you go. I can actually turn it down here. So, are we to my PPE story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're yes, yeah.
Well,
I
does
can't wait.
anyone else have anything they want to talk about that they did this weekend that they don't feel
Would
like they
I
had?
slept on the couch, and I got very cold, and then
Aw.
There was
the
4
sunlight-
blankets.
I know, but it wasn't that I didn't have blankets. It's that I woke up, and it was like chilly, and I like just tried to make myself smaller to fit under the blankets. But then it was sunny, so then I tried to like bury my head like between the cushions, because you have no window treatments whatsoever.
Only on one window.
You do.
Yeah,
No,
that
you
one's
brought
like-
window treatments. Now they have window.
We do have
Yeah,
that.
that's
We
not
do have
gonna
that.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
you
no,
gotta go
sorry.
listen. I slept in a Volvo wagon Friday night in a truck stop in Virginia, and it was like snowing. So
And you
Uh,
only
Alright,
had
sorry.
one guy offered to
I was having-
Woken you?
I was having-
Did you get where you're going?
I was having a bad hair
Tonight,
day.
right,
If I'd been
right.
rocking the do full tilt, I think it would have gotten a few more offers.
Sorry, no, sorry. We don't keep window treatments because we hate window treatments.
It's fine.
Anyway,
but
keep going.
it's a warm house.
It's a warm house.
Well, now
it's
you have
fine.
a bet again tonight.
Yeah. Probably because the fire went out. That's probably why.
That's true. Yeah.
But anyway, it was lovely, and I don't have any qualms about staying on the couch. The couch was very comfortable. But I
fire was
do
on.
want
Did Bruce
I
just
do
point
want
out
to
the
say
fire was on and died out?
I do want to say that the PPE story. For those of you who
Please.
don't know, PPE is Chrissy.
Personal protective equipment.
Yes, and my favorite, not my favorite, one of my favorite pieces of PPE.
Condoms?
Not condoms. My knee pads are probably my favorite.
I was gonna go with knee pads. and you're
But
definitely a
my
favorite.
second favorite is my
Eyes.
glasses.
Eyes.
I
yeah.
love my safety glasses.
Yes, safety
So
glasses.
I was helping cook part of the St. Patrick's Day dinner. I was making Auntie Fee's chicken. Google it.
It's
So
So
It's worth
good.
Googling.
it's worth it.
So good.
How do you spell fee? Like anti-fee?
it's AUNTIEFEE.
Okay.
And ignore the thing about sitting on the counter for 2 hours, but every other piece of advice she gives is actually not bad.
So I like 10 minutes before everyone else, I was like, I gotta go in because I got a quick shower and I gotta cook. So I run upstairs, I gathered my stuff and took it out of the living room because the guests were already here and I was still using the living room as my bedroom. I took it upstairs, I threw it in the cat-free room because my brother had moved out. And I went over, grabbed clothes, jumped in the shower, and realized I still had on my safety glasses. So I'm in the shower with my safety glasses. I think Chrissy would approve. Chrissy would
No way. No way.
That is epic. That is truly
So
good.
you're
But your
literally-
eyes were safe.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wait,
No
so-
shampoo in his eyes.
But you need to take them off so you can wash around your eyes because
Well, that's how I
you're
know
fucking dirty.
Because the first thing you do is like you splash water in your face and it was like bink.
The next show promo is all you if you want.
So there's my PPE story. Oh
The
man,
next show.
we're dropping the
Just keep
microphone.
It's a big paragraph. It's you're reading it.
Keep rolling.
Okay, we're gonna keep going here. I just my story was over and I didn't know where to go. So if everyone's
That's great.
talking
I'm
about,
so glad.
are we gonna go on to Hella Sweet or But Terrible?
Hey, Chrissy, do you have any updates on your heel toe progress?
Ooh, that's a great question.
No, that's a no face.
I do. So
It also gets me bingo.
your butt and
Ass.
no, and it's not. He's not wrong. I'm gonna admit something that I don't want to admit.
Go ahead, click heel toe on there.
So I really
Click heel toe and then I'll show it to the
So
camera.
I literally have a heel toe sticker on my car. I have a
On your dash.
Sticky
dash.
note, a stick like a yeah,
Sticky
3-inch
note.
sticky note.
It says heel toe, and it reminds me all the things that I should be doing. And I try, and I really try to do it when
Yeah,
I'm
but
on-
you said this week, you told me this week, you got it one day.
I did get it one day. I know. I'm trying to say what happened. I don't want to admit what I was doing. So basically, I have been.
Because, we're so, oh, sorry, I had my microphone off. Because we're so full of hubris here, we can't admit our
Just
mistakes.
say it. Just go.
We're sobs.
Go fast.
So I have been braking, and braking with the correct part of my foot, but I have been gassing when I'm not with the clutch not in.
Oh, okay.
So when because I've been trying to do it in multiple parts, so I had been braking, and then I was not gassing when it was, and so it wasn't stabbing stabbing
You
gas.
were rev matching, but your foot was not on the clutch.
Right, so I was just going faster. I was like, it wasn't. I know. This
So
is
you're
legit.
accelerating. That's
There's
great.
nothing wrong with
And
it.
braking. at the same
And braking.
time.
Right, right. So
But you figured it out now. So.
yes.
And your foot was on the clutch. It just wasn't
No,
applying enough pressure.
no, I was not.
No.
No,
Okay.
because I was doing because Chris said do multiple steps, right? So I am braking and I'm brake with the correct part of my foot.
Sure. Because I told Chrissy, try to do it in multiple steps. One step is get your foot in the right place. Like you have to just be used to braking with the ball of your foot only on the brake pedal, so that the rest of your foot is available.
Yes.
And then, so that's step one. Another step is separately think about rev matching. To do just blip the gas before you downshift.
So when I blip the gas,
Then after you do those, you can combine it.
when I blip the gas, when I'm driving, I brake, no clutch. Right.
I totally understand.
I know.
So
I know.
totally understand.
I neglected to tell her.
You
don't-
should have.
I mean,
the
I
clutch
know
down
this.
at the same
No, but
time.
I neglected to say you should have your clutch in before you blip.
I'm-
Now, this is important things to tell people who are trying to do this.
But the thing is like I know this because I drive it. I've
Well,
driven it.
now you do, but if you're
No.
taking my advice literally, you don't.
I mean, I do because I've driven a clutch for 10 years, 20 years,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Like I've done. I know.
No, and I'm going to go with her on this one. Last weekend I was hanging out with the Hoggers at Atlanta Motorsports Park, and Matty had me go out with him in his Spec E30 he had built. And you do fall into these kind of unaware habit patterns. And what he was doing is every time we would dig into a corner, he would brace himself with his outside leg against the door, but his foot was on the clutch. And as soon as he had to flex that leg, we're slipping the clutch a little bit. And he's not dumb. He knows how to drive. But I'm over there looking at his feet, and I had to start slapping his leg. I'm like, get your foot off the clutch. Get your foot off the clutch. Because you're going to shorten the clutch mileage. And he was doing everything right, but it is. It's one of the things.
That costs
So-
you a quarter second out of the corner.
and it's going to cost you
That
20,000 miles off your clutch
I was
right
going to
away.
say that little pressure on your clutch makes a difference.
And he just kind of looked at it. He's like, "Crap! I'm not even aware that I'm doing it."
Yeah.
Because we get into habit patterns and we do things subconsciously. So
Yeah.
recognize, blipping your throttle, right thing to do, and then recognizing, oh, my foot's in the right place. I just didn't push. It's a learning process.
Cool.
Yeah. So I actually did it the correct way, right time. So
Cool.
I did it.
All right, so
I believe we're on to the last segment. I do have one more quick story. I drove Mental's Hoopty to the supermarket.
Which is all of
It's like 3 blocks.
yeah. It's
and
less than half a mile.
and now I have to sell it because Jeff says it sucks.
I didn't say it sucks. Okay, so we should mention what the hell is it? It's a tell the
1986 Volvo 240 wagon, 245 technically, that my brother gave me because my
I
brother
didn't
is
ask where it
awesome.
came from. I just said what it
I
said.
don't matter. I'm just giving a shout out to my brother who doesn't listen.
When Jeff was about to go to the store, because his truck is hooked to his trailer, he's not to take his truck. So he said, I need someone's keys. So I hold him the keys to the AMG Mercedes. And he says, no, I want to take Mental Sig.
I said, why would I drive the high-powered luxury German vehicle when I could drive a totally clapped out Volvo station wagon? So yeah, long roof for life. Check it off your sheet. I was quite impressed by the sexiness of the wagon because in the pictures it looks like a Volvo, but he's got it all stickered up now. He's got the big wheels on it, where they're like
17s.
they're
Like
like
the 17's off of an S40.
off an S40. They're good-looking wheels. It's white. We've already discussed that I'm strangely attracted to white cars.
Well, and honestly, the paint on that car is in really good
Yeah,
shape.
it's in really good shape.
The
He's
rocker panel's not so
Right.
bad.
The rocker
No,
panels are
yeah,
dead.
screwed.
So I'm like, the second I saw it, I said, man, Randolph, I would rock the hell out of that thing daily. And he goes, I do. And I'm like, yeah. So then when it became Chance to Change, I took it. I drove that thing 3 blocks and I said, no, this is a rattle trappy piece of crap. And I would not daily drive this. I would be annoyed in a week daily driving this.
I think your
And
actual
why?
words
And
were,
why?
Your words were, I'm too bougie.
I did say I'm too
And
bad.
Mental fought you on it, actually.
I'm annoyed by my 2011. The only thing that I'm annoyed about in my brand new Titan is it has Bluetooth, but it only connects for phone calls, and I can't stream my podcast to the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Like that's like I'm like
It's like a Mercedes.
I'm like
Yeah.
Jesus, why can't? Oh.
No, but
Because
Mental,
my Volvo will totally play the podcast.
but Mental was so, he was, yeah, he was. And he was like, oh, you're a bullshit Mazda.
He sat in the
Doesn't
corner
do
a
it.
little while, listened to some REM, and
Talk to
Alright.
Everybody hurts.
No, he didn't.
Some.
No, Mental was like, no way.
No, it's an excellent car.
He really, he
It's an,
bullshit.
no, it's an excellent car, and your brother is very nice for giving it to you. And for you, it is perfect. I'm just saying, I'm at the point of my life. I just had my. How old am I again? Check my math.
You're a year
Fucking
younger than I am.
47?
Oh
You're
my
a year
god.
younger.
47.
You
So
guys are
yeah, I just
so
turned
old.
47.
It's like the
And-
fourth time we've had this
Oh my
conversation
god,
this
you're
week.
so old.
I'm a little bit past dailying a hoopty.
just go buy a Lincoln Town car and shut up.
Well, it
You
was
both
funny.
are
He's
so
like, I
old.
need to be comfortable and have my coffee, and I'm like, okay, yeah, my Volvo has no cup holders.
No, not even pretend one.
It's not just cup holders. It's
No.
like yeah.
Your
there it
guys
is.
are ridiculous.
Alrighty. Hello, sweeter but terrible time.
Oh,
So,
that's
I
cute.
like
I like
that.
that.
That was fun.
So we're talking about Lemon's cars that make annoying or stupid sounds. So there are some Lemon's cars out there. We can talk about the Nyan Cat car. There are several in several coasts, right?
The Nyan Cat never bothers me. Every time
Yeah,
I go by,
every
I
time.
go, and I just smile. I go, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody
So now,
does.
now we also
There
have
was
some.
there was the MR2 duck car that just played the loop from A Christmas Story. Fra ra 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 ra.
Or it's us with the boat playing I'm gonna
I'm
boat.
gonna vote. But no,
We never
play
did.
that. We didn't play that during the race.
No.
But during the
That's really
parade,
what
The
I'm
C&P
talking
parade
about.
we never stopped.
I'm talking about things that
and Matt never stopped dancing.
cars that make sound, whether they be annoying or a song during the race. And the one that I want to talk in our area is the Inspector Gadget Mobile. Because it's a good car. It's a 240, right?
240,
240 SX.
240 SX. It looks pretty good.
It looks exactly
It looks
like
exactly like the
Gadget
Inspector
car.
Gadget. But the speaker that they have on it is terrible.
Oh, it's like the teeniest little
It's
like,
it's like a horn.
but it has a cone on it, whatever it is. It's like a PA
It's like a
speaker.
It looks like the one
Yes.
from the Blues Brothers, the Bluesmobile.
Yes.
Yo,
It's much smaller.
So, but-
one
yes.
night only.
But the quality of it is
Awful.
awful,
Yeah.
awful. It's very loud, but the quality is so
It's,
bad.
it's a speaker that was designed to go.
And a speaker that's designed to say, bus leaving on platform 9.
This yeah.
It's very sweet.
So the question is, hella sweet or but terrible? If you had sounds that your Lemon's car made, should you play it just in the paddock, or should you play it pretty much 24/7?
Alright, I'll start us off. It depends on the car and the sound.
Agreed.
Now,
Okay.
Cat, it's kind of like a pleasant little fun thing. Like,
Sorry, that's just some noise coming
Yeah.
here.
Nyan
Hey,
Cat,
we're getting some feedback from our live listeners, and one of the person, Kreger's actually mentioned, or Kurt rather, Cordia. We were at the CNP, Cordia! Cordia!
Kind of
Cordia!
like Nyan Cat, like this. Like this is kind of like pleasant. Like okay, Right.
But
Well,
then
and it helps that their
come
cars
around.
not that fast.
Yeah.
So you
No,
get
but-
around it really
But when
quickly.
it come around, you're like,
Like you smile for 2 seconds.
then it goes around.
And then you're gone. And
fine,
it's fine.
fine.
So it has to be a pleasant sound.
I think so. Because and actually one of the things the Inspector Gadget guys have done that I thought was funny is they put like a Formula One laugh on. So it was,
Okay, so hella
And
sweet
that
or
was
but
fun.
terrible. How hella sweet or but terrible is this sound? Wires
that's
working,
no
please.
sound. So
Come on.
It's there somewhere.
I think I got it. Thanks, Jeff.
But what if it kept playing?
That playing constantly
No,
is way terrible,
No.
in my opinion.
And I think
No.
this is where we're getting to the devices because I'm still laughing and you're already annoyed.
My opinion is that playing constantly is but terrible.
Okay.
But that playing at the right occasions, even if it's often, but the right occasions. Like if you pass a friend of yours, like when I pass Matt Faridas in the Sorry for Party Firebird, and I play that and I stick my metal horns out the window.
Oh, now we're okay.
So, but constantly not good. All right, next.
Lake show.
No, hell sweet about terrible. Same noise all the time. Chrissy.
No. Depending on what it is. Nine Cat. I love Nine Cat.
What is? Sorry, I didn't have my
Turn your
microphone.
microphone
That
up,
would be
yeah.
helpful. How annoying is this?
I like the show. Yeah, let's go. Yes, let's do like it.
Now, what if there was a fat guy and an attractive girl dancing to this? Would that be annoying?
Nope.
Well,
Big show.
while you're
It's
driving,
happening.
you can't do that. So
True. This would be a paddock only.
then that's fine. In Panic, you do whatever the hell you want.
Pretty much this point.
I like Leak Show all the time. Let's go.
right.
Let's do it.
All
I
right,
remember
mental.
a GRM challenge years ago, and the Hongers had a General Lee horn on their CRX. And the first time they hit it, everyone laughed. The second one they had, everybody kind of smiled. And about the third time they hit it, everyone just kind of looked at it. By the 19th time they did it, which they had it hooked up to their nitrous switch, so every time they hit the nitrous, it would go off again. And all of a sudden, it stopped working on Saturday.
Well, I think the public approval level of something like that is the exact inverse of a bell curve. At first it's funny, and then it's really not funny, and then it's funny again.
And so they spent all day Saturday trying. I mean, they've got a testing light. They're trying to figure out where the short is. And what they figured out is Guido, the killer clown, had stuffed a clown nose in every one of the horns, so it wasn't making any noise.
I miss Guido.
Yes.
He had that starry on it. It
And,
sounded like an airplane. The turbos
Yeah.
flying.
Before we kick into this, so my friend Brian, who runs out of Texas, the property devaluation team, he has an open seat in New Orleans at the end of March. So anybody that's interested in running NOLA, and if you've never been to NOLA, you want to run NOLA. So if you're interested and you know what you're doing, get a hold of us at everyone.racers, and I'll put you in touch with Brian.
How long is straightaway, Nola?
3,200 feet, baby.
Oh my goodness.
And it's a well sorted car. It finished second there last year. Brian knows what he's doing. It's a good team, and you guys would have a lot of fun. He's looking at about $1,200 for the weekend.
What's our time look like on this podcast, Chris?
We are an hour and 15 minutes.
All right, so it's probably time to wrap it up.
Yeah. Oh, it's beyond time.
We on time. So, does anyone have a next show promo?
Chrissy,
Yeah.
you do.
It's next Friday.
She does. She's waiting.
I
I have to
do.
vamp. Go ahead.
So, right? For those local to mental, it's coming. 37th annual. Shut up. 37th annual Atlanta International Auto Show. Atlanta.
Do you want me to do this? It's Atlanta's spring thing where you can shop and
You
compare.
still get the music.
Compare hundreds of new cars, trucks, and SUVs from over 24 manufacturers in one location. You'll see debuting new models for 2020, the latest in alternative fuel vehicles, and great special attractions like the GM Futurelander. That's actually pretty cool. It's only once a year, 5 big days. You won't want to miss it. March 20th through 24th at the Georgia World Congress Center. Mental will be there this Wednesday, so go any other day than that. This is not like an OEM show. It's a consumer show, so it's targeted at you. There's going to be factory and dealer representatives to answer your questions, not just hired spoke models, but there's probably some of them too. This coming Friday, we're gonna have Brian Medford from the Napa Know-How blog. We had him on last year. He's a great local journalist there, and we like having him on. He's an old school GRMer. So we're talking about our favorite cars from 2019 and beyond. Mental's playing some live events from the show, ideally a live walkthrough of the Future Liner. So stay tuned. Follow all the Auto Show media links and whatnot in our show notes. So this Friday, our guest Brian Medford's here to talk about our favorite cars. So hey, questions for Brian or Mental or any of us? Drop us a line. Thanks, buddy.
So, sorry, I have to pick up and do both at the same time here. Hold on. Vamp for 1 second. Okay, there we are. I had to switch music.
Speaking of annoying songs played over and over.
Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's live edition of Everyone Racers. We hope you join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Don't unplug anything. It makes the event snapping sound.
Right,
Oh,
it does,
sorry.
like so much.
If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, even if you didn't like us. Give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless the greasiness from your power steering pump has created no shiny side, then just let Chrissy power wash it because it's her birthday.
Hell yeah!
And keep those wheels down.
All right, and we've already bid adieu to our friends on the tube. Thanks for turning in, folks. All 7 or 8 of you. We actually had just somebody talk about putting an annoying song in their race Camry, which it's a Camry. You should always do that. So say goodnight to everyone in YouTube land.
Bye!
All right.
Thank you.
Then don't watch this part because you'll get motion sickness.